actually don't think that my Republican colleagues have lost their hearts. They have lost their spines. It seems that all they can do now is bow down to Donald Trump and his billionaire donors. They will bow down, even if it means hurting families, community hospitals, and nursing homes in their own states. They're all behind closed doors trying to figure out how they get the votes to get this thing through.
So you think that they're also helping stretch this out because they don't have the votes for a final passage right now?
Well, why else would they be stretching it out? If they actually have their votes, why wouldn't they be on the floor right now, rushing us through our amendments and then going to the vote? Look, the bottom line stays the same. When you read the bill, and the Democrats insisted that the bill be read aloud, it's nearly $1 trillion in cuts to Medicaid.
Well, I don't really think it matters why they're doing this. What matters is what they're doing, and what they're doing is cutting health care from about 12 million Americans in the next several years. They're shutting down rural hospitals. They're getting rid of the social safety net. They're ballooning the deficit to the point that will imperil Medicare and Social Security, and so on. They're getting rid of food assistance. They're getting rid of every single aspect of the safety net and the social net that Donald Trump promised to keep. And don't forget, he promised that he would not touch Medicaid, and he would promise he wouldn't touch Medicare, and he's touching both of those.
Do you think he doesn't know what's happening in this bill?
Why do we keep treating him like a moron who can't read, right? Does he not watch TV? He could maybe turn off Fox News, which is feeding him propaganda that they want him to hear, and maybe crack open this bill, or crack open the New York Times, or crack open some non-propaganda outlet that will tell him what's in this bill. I mean, we got to treat him like an adult and stop treating him like a child.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and we need to stop treating Donald Trump like a clueless old fool who doesn't know what he's doing, because he knows full well what he is doing. He just doesn't care, and that is the bottom line.
And we have to stop thinking about what the motivation is of all of these Republican senators, whether it's fear of Trump or it's that they really care about nobody other than the billionaires to whom they're giving massive windfalls at the expense of their own constituents. They know what they're doing, and they're doing it affirmatively, and they'll be held accountable, as Michael said, next November, as they should be when you have every healthcare system in Louisiana begging and pleading with the speaker not to pass this bill. When
red state.
Right, red state, when they're pleading with their own senator, Senator Cassidy, not to pass this bill because it will decimate healthcare for their own constituents. And they continue to do this. They know what they're doing, and we have to stop thinking about their motivations and look at their actions.
While Trump has been described as a dope, an idiot, and a fifth grader by some of his own generals, his base worships him like he can do no wrong. The truth is, he's a calculated, conniving, premeditated criminal, and everyone that's been enabling him is a co-conspirator in a national betrayal. And that's exactly what this big, beautiful bill is, a national betrayal.
I think Republicans would argue that this bill is supposed to help out the American people and their family. But the American people disagree with that idea. All right, Trump's policies and your family, help or hurt. The big, beautiful bill, just 23% say help. How about 49%? 49% say hurt.
Republicans have sold out the American people, just like Judas, for 30 shekels of silver. Except in this case, it's campaign donations from billionaires who think democracy is in the way of their profit margins. And the worst part, these co-conspirators don't even fear the consequences. They're not hesitating. They're not even wrestling with the morality of it. They are goose-stepping in line behind their wannabe dictator, Donald Trump. And they've turned their backs on our children, on working families, on the elderly and poor, on the very future of this country. So let's drop all this talk about Republicans being the party of family values or Christian morality, because that's a damn lie. The Republican Party is morally bankrupt, spiritually hollow, and politically sold out to the highest bidder. They've lost their minds and they lost their spines. And this brings us to one of the biggest double standards in American politics today, the way we talk about Trump. Elizabeth Warren called out Republicans for being spineless cowards. She busted them out for choosing billionaires over their own constituents. But there was another voice that took it even further. Julie Roginsky, an experienced Democratic strategist and MSNBC commentator. She made it crystal clear. The excuse that Trump is clueless is nothing more than a smokescreen, and we really need to hold him and his enablers fully accountable. Now, Warren and Roginsky aren't the only ones calling this out, because this bill has caused absolute chaos. It is a damn circus. The Senate's vote-a-rama phase is where we're at, where amendments fly like folding chairs out of a wrestling match. And into the chaos stepped Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina. And believe it or not, he actually broke ranks.
What do I tell 663,000 people in 2 years or 3 years when President Trump breaks his promise by pushing them off of Medicaid because the funding's not there anymore, guys? In the White House, senators advising the president are not telling him that the effect of this bill is to break a promise. Republicans are about to make a mistake on health care and betraying a promise.
Imagine that, a Republican daring to oppose Trump and say the quiet part out loud. Tillis laid it all out. This horrific piece of legislation will kick over 600,000 people in his state off of Medicaid. It breaks the very promise that Trump made not to touch the program. And he said he's withholding his vote until Republicans stop lying and start fixing it.
Now, those amateurs that are advising him, not Dr. Oz, I'm talking about White House healthcare experts, refused to tell him that those instructions that were to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse, all of a sudden eliminates a government program that's called the provider tax. We owe it to the American people, and I owe it to the people of North Carolina to withhold my affirmative vote until it's demonstrated to me that we've done our homework. We're going to make sure that we fulfill the promise, and then I can feel good about a bill that I'm willing to vote for.
And while Senator Tillis is out here, at least for now, showing a shred of gumption, Lisa Murkowski is demonstrating exactly what Republican family values really mean. Because she agreed to vote for this bill in exchange for a backroom deal that would exempt her state of Alaska from some of the most horrific cuts. That's right. They bought her like a cheap cigar. Murkowski threw the entire country under the bus because she's a sellout. All that crying she's done, oh, the Republicans are doing such horrible things, oh, I can't take it, it's so hard, save it. Because just like the rest of the enablers, when the votes get counted, she falls right in line, voting lockstep with the same extremists she pretends to condemn. Spare us the crocodile tears, Lisa. We've seen the receipts. And this brings us to one of the most infuriating narratives we keep hearing, even from so-called journalists and Republican apologists. Does Donald Trump even know what's going on? That's a question a reporter actually asked, as if Trump is some doddering old man being misled by advisors who are secretly cutting Medicaid behind his back. Give me a freaking break. This is the myth MAGA clings to like a worn-out teddy bear. Poor Donald. He didn't know. He's just being lied to. He can't help it. Which brings us to the crossroads, and I, for one, would like some clarification. Is Donald Trump too dumb to know what's happening? Or is he too surrounded by yes men to hear anything beyond the pinballs bouncing around in his empty head? Or is he just that easily manipulated by Fox News into signing whatever idiotic order they hand him? The truth is, Donald Trump isn't just some clueless passenger being misled down the wrong track. He's the damn engineer of this crazy-ass runaway train, and he's laughing the whole way as it flies off the rails. He's not being dragged along by his handlers. He's steering this mess with both of his tiny little hands, pedal to the metal, throwing coal in the fire and flipping off the people screaming for him to slow down. Why? Because he does not care. Not about the wreckage, not about the casualties, and certainly not about the millions of people his policies have hurt and will hurt as long as he looks good doing it. And of course, right on cue, BS Barbie, Caroline Leavitt, swoops in to play her part. If Donald Trump is the engineer of the runaway train, then Caroline is the infomercial host telling you it's a luxury cruise.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Caroline. On the reconciliation bill, Senator Tillis from the floor yesterday seemed to suggest President Trump was getting bad counsel on the effects of the bill. Is President Trump aware of the analyses, and there are several of these, that suggest if rural hospitals potentially close, if there are Medicaid patients in the millions that become ineligible for that?
Yes, and that claim is just simply untrue. Rural hospitals comprise 7% of all hospital spending on Medicaid, and that illustrates that they have not benefited from the massive increase of waste, fraud, and abuse under the Biden administration. So this bill strengthens Medicaid. It will protect those benefits that hardworking Americans need, and that's why the president wants this bill to pass. The senator was wrong. The president put out a Truth Social post addressing it, and then the senator announced he's no longer running for office anymore. So I think that case has been closed, and the White House is continuing to focus on getting this legislation to the president's desk for his signature.
This woman isn't a press secretary. She is a full-blown propaganda princess, running her own televised school in white privilege, spin, and smug entitlement. Every time Trump is criticized, she shows up with her BS and her plastic script, saying things like, the president already addressed that, or the senator's retiring, case closed. Case closed? No. Case on fire. Because while she's out here doing makeup tutorials on denial, millions of Americans are facing benefit cuts, hospital closures, and food insecurity. And let's be real, the way she talks about Trump, you'd think the man just ran a marathon, hiked the Grand Canyon, saved a baby eagle from extinction, and still had time to file everyone's taxes. Meanwhile, the real Trump is in bed with his cheeseburgers, dodging security briefings, ranting about sharks and batteries, and signing off on bills that gut the safety net from his own voters. Caroline Leavitt isn't informing the public. She's gaslighting the nation. Her job isn't to tell the truth. It's to protect the cult, praise the dictator, and distract the rest of us with glossy lies while they dismantle everything that keeps people alive. And she's good at it, because you have to be when you're selling fascism with a smile. So let's circle back to where we started. These people, these Republicans, they're not confused, they're not misled, and they're sure as hell not victims. They are spineless cowards enabling a man who knows exactly what he's doing. We need to quit treating Donald Trump like a clueless old moron who bumbled his way into destruction. Is he a moron? Sure, but he's also a criminal, a con artist, a conniving, dangerous narcissist who's orchestrating a full-blown assault on the American people, with a cheering section behind him and a party that sold its soul for power. The big, beautiful bill is not policy, it's a weapon. It's designed to strip away health care, gut safety nets, shutter hospitals, and grind working families into the dirt, all while billionaires toast to it on private jets. This is cruelty by design. And Donald Trump? He's not watching it happen. He's leading the charge. And if we don't stand up now, if we keep giving him the moron pass, the hall pass, the he didn't know pass, there won't be a country left to defend, because this man and his enablers are not confused. They're at war with America, and that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.